Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week, and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. So first of all, like I say every single week, thank you from the bottom of my heart for anyone that's watched any of these videos and, commented and engaged in any way. I really appreciate it, and genuinely I do. Magic TV wouldn't exist without you guys. So thank you. Thank you very much. Secondly, if you've never seen a Q&A before, I'm going to take all the questions that you've asked this week and answer them. Now, you're getting my raw and filtered opinion. In other words, I'm not researching this. I'm not like reading the questions beforehand. I'm literally reading them on camera and giving you an off-the-cuff answer. If I think that one of the questions is worthy or not worthy, but is like maybe it would take too long to answer it on this video, I'll do another video in the future specifically about that subject. The other thing is I film these normally on a Tuesday. It is currently 11:26 on a Tuesday, and my God, my battery is almost gone on my laptop. It's 11:26 on a Tuesday, and I'm filming it today. The point is, if you want to guarantee to get your question answered, you want to get it in as soon as possible. Try to get those questions in by Monday. If I miss the question, I'm very sorry. Just push it back to the following week. Ask it down below. I'll get back to it next week. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into it because there are a metric ton of questions. So let's get into this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from Adrian Suter, who says, performing to a Swiss audience, speaking German, how could I introduce a prop that is in another language or from another country in a convincing way? For instance, how can I introduce the Evoke deck, an English tarot deck, or US coins without raising suspicion? By the way, this could be an interesting question for an interview with a non-English magician. It's a great question, and to be honest, I don't make a big deal of it. So I perform, as you guys probably are aware, with American coins all of the time, and people say the same question to me, you're English and yet you're bringing out an American coin, how come? And I just introduce it. I just say, hey, so my name's Craig, I'm a magician, I'm going to do some magic, and I want to start off by showing you something with these coins. Now, these are American silver dollars. They're over 100 years old. I actually collect coins, but I'm using these because they're big, they're silver, you can see them from a distance. Have a look at them, check them out, make sure they're okay, and we're going to do something interesting with them. I don't try to spend ages justifying it. I don't try to spend ages like explaining why I'm using American coins. I just am. My attitude is that as a magician, if it's okay for me to bring out a little silver cup with some little cork balls covered in woolly jumpers, if it's okay for me to bring out a pack of cards, which is a random thing in its own right, if it's okay for me to bring out some weird and wonderful prop, like, I love doing turbo stick. I've got the world's smallest whiteboard here. You've got what now? If that's all okay, why not bring something out? Part of what I want to do is I want to create a hook with the audience. I want to create interest. I want to create intrigue. And one way to do that is to bring out a prop that they have interest in that they might not have seen before. So the Evoke deck is a perfect example. I turn around to them and I say, hey, I travel all over the world performing magic. And the other week I was over in America. And when I was going through the airport, I saw this. It's a set of motivational posters, like the sort of things that you see in doctor surgeries. It's like motivational posters, but shrunk down. It's for like a daily dose of inspiration. But what I found interesting is each one of these has a different emotion on them. And I thought that would be a very interesting thing to use to try and read somebody's mind, or at least give you the impression that I'm reading somebody's mind. Something like the Mind Blocks deck that I put out through Penguin. Again, I say, hey, my kid is obsessed with Lego, loves Lego. We go to Legoland Discovery Centre quite a lot, and, we're Merlin pass holders, so we get to go to all of those places. And last time I was there, I saw one of these. It's not a deck of cards. I know it looks like a deck of cards, but it's actually some of the most iconic and popular Lego sets of all time. Now, I don't know whether you guys have played Lego or not. It doesn't really matter. You've all heard what Lego is. Well, some of these are the most popular Lego sets of all time. And more importantly, each one's different, so it can help us visualize what we're going to do here. Let me give you an example. Boom, I'm into it. So it doesn't have to be a long justification. It can just be a sentence or two explaining what the prop is, and then you just move into the routine. I don't think that you need to kind of go much further than that. I use a lot of props that are I use American dollar bills in some of the routines that I do. And again, I just say, hey, I've come back from America. I've brought these bills over here with me. I want to show you something with them. So I don't think, I use American coins like every single performance that I do, for example. And I've never had anyone go, well, that's a bit weird. Use our coins. It just never happens. I don't make a big deal of it. And because I don't make a big deal of it, people just accept it. Okay, so the next question is from Chard Magic, who says, "Hi Craig, love everything you do on this channel, but particularly Match Journey. Have you ever considered doing something like Muggle for Magician, but for subscribers? Almost a blueprint that they can do themselves. Week 1, learn this, then put yourself in this position to perform. Week 2, learn this, etc., etc." It's an interesting idea. It's something that I probably could do. Like almost like a breakdown week by week of what to do to go from Muggle to Magician. Yeah, it ain't going to happen this year, I'll be honest. We're getting into silly season over here in the UK where things are just going nuts in terms of performing. But you know what? I'm going to try and make that happen. So leave it with me. And maybe beginning of the year, I think that's something that we could definitely put together. Okay, so the next question is the Daniel James, who says, "Sorry if you've covered this, but what are the best regular Rubik's Cubes yourself and Ryland recommend? With so many quality videos, it's impossible to go back and find. There should be a Magic TV FAQ. I ask, as thanks to Alakazam Unlimited, the Beginner Cube series, I might finally be making the breakthrough. You don't need to have the powers of Matt Cluley to see a Cube 52 deck in my future. Thanks as always." Well, Cube 52 is awesome, and Cube Magic is awesome. So, Ryland uses a GAN, a 3x3 GAN, I think it's called. Let me just... So, I use... there you go. So, I use a cube that's been put out by Colin Klaus and Kev G. That they sell on the Refractor website. So their website is Rubik's Cube Magician. Rubik's Cube Magician, and on there, and I'm going on the website now to make sure. So there's a recommendations tab, and when you go down to recommendations, there's a bunch of stuff on there that they recommend, and there is a link that you can click on, Best Cubes for Magic. And my favourite is the #1 one that they've got there, which is called the Refractor Cube, which is their own cube. And it's really nice, as it says here, magnetic, premium feel, nice clear colours, well-weighted, square centerpieces, pre-lubed, smooth and quiet. Ryland uses I think it's called a GAN. It's stickerless. I'm pretty sure it's called a GAN. Might be on GAN Cube. There you go. A GAN Cube. Speed Cube. There you go. He uses a GAN Speed. A GAN 3. I think this is it. The 356 3x3 Speed Cube. Yeah, it's about 30 quid, 40 quid, something like that. So Ryland uses the GAN. I use the Refractor Cube. Those are the two best cubes. Although if we're doing anything that involves gimmicks, like if you've ever seen Ryland do the Venom Cube stuff, he will be using a Henry Harrius Cube, which is a great cube in its own right, but that matches all of the gimmicks that that Henry Harrius puts out. So that's a really good cube as well. If you're planning on doing some gimmicked cube magic, you might want to consider using that cube. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Okay, so the next question is from Rob Magic, who says, "Hey Craig, great content as always. Keep up the good work and what you do for the Magic community. Thank you. Question for you, are there any resources on putting a parlor stroke stage act together that you would recommend? Also, I'm thinking of putting together a 20 to 25 minute parlor stroke stage act together. Once I've got it, do you recommend getting in contact with theatres or charities?" So first of all, resources for putting a parlor stage act together. There's a great book, stage book. I'm doing some research there. Now, Stage by Stage by John Graham is a great book. You can get it from Vanishing Ink. It's in stock. They've got the regular edition. They've only got the regular edition. There you go. Assy Wynn says every magician should read this book, and I totally agree. What makes Stage by Stage unique is the scope and intention of this remarkable magic book. He's not. John Graham has not released dozens of tricks. He's dedicated his life to perfecting his stage show, and in this book, he shares every part of the process: the tricks, the transitions between tricks, why he made the changes he did, and how to build your own standing ovation-worthy stage show. This is not merely a book on parlor and stage magic. Although it does contain magic, it's a book wishing to transition. It's a book for those wishing to transition from close-up to stage. It's a one-of-a-kind roadmap that takes you through the nuts and bolts of how to design an act. And I totally agree with that. It's amazing. And while you're there, and you're on Vanishing Ink's website, you might want to pick up Parlour Tricks, which again is available in both ebook and the book's not available, but you can get it as an ebook. And Morgan and West, unfortunately, are no longer with us. They disbanded earlier this year, but it's a book that they wrote. It's a dissection of the full 90-minute show that they do. You learn how they approach their material, how they sequence each routine, how they fit the material to their personalities and premises. This book is a masterclass in building a show and a rare insight into how performers work on cohesive pieces of theatre. So both of those books are absolutely incredible. They're exactly what you're looking for. So those are the two books that I would recommend if you're looking for a good book that would help you put together a parlour or a stage act. Both of those are going to be absolutely amazing. And then your second question, how do you get into contact? Once you've got it, do you recommend getting in contact with theatres or charities? If you've never done a stage show before, because you haven't, because you're putting it together, I would go to as many places as you can to go and do that for, you want to get flight time. That's the most important thing. People will turn around to you and say, oh, you've got a stage show, charge £5,000 for it, But here's the thing, it's got to be good. And so you need to work it in somewhere. There's no substitute for flight time. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. So find places that you can go to and you can practice your stage show. Go to comedy clubs and go and do 5-10 minute spots there. Go to open mic nights. Go to retirement villages. Go anywhere that you can to get experience doing this show, because the more experience that you get, the better the show will be, the more worked in it will be, the slicker it'll be, and then you're going to be able to by going out and working it, you're going to be able to generate assets. You're going to be able to generate social proof, quotes, which are always videos, digital assets, photos. All of this is going to help you sell the act a lot better than just going out there and going, right, okay, ring up a theatre. Hey, is that a theatre? Yeah. Hi, I'm a magician. I've got a show. I'd like you to put it on. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so have you done it before? Nope. How long does it run? Don't know. Never done it before. Okay. Do you have any assets, like a copy about what it's about, or photos, or promo shots, or any reviews or video? Nope. Okay, we'll come back to us later. You need to have stuff to sell. You can't just go straight into theatres and go, hey, buy my show. You want to get everything that you need to be able to market it and to be able to promote it. And one way to do that is by going out and doing it over and over again. People think that you've got to get cash. I've spoken about this before. I follow a thing by Brad Burton called the ACE strategy, which means that every time you do a gig, you need to have one of three things, either assets, cash, or experience. If you've got the best show in the world, you don't need experience. And if somebody says, can you do my show for free? You'll get experience. Well, then say no. But experience is great. Assets are great. Like I say, social proof, videos, photos, whatever the case may be, as many assets as you can. And then obviously, eventually, that'll lead to the C, which is cash. But what I would recommend is getting this show as tight as possible, getting it as slick as possible, working it in everywhere, and getting as many assets as you can to sell it. Okay, so the next question is from Jay Faulkner, who says, hi, Craig. Hope you and the family are doing well. Yes, thank you very much, buddy. When I first got into magic, my favourite thing was getting those big bundle magic kits. My question is, what would you include in a Craig Petty magic kit? Just curious. I'd probably include the stuff that I think, if it's a beginner magic kit and it's made up of my own material, I think I'd put in stuff in there that would help people develop and grow and improve. And take them from beginner level to maybe a little bit more advanced. So I put some stuff in there that they can do straight away. I'd definitely put a Svengali deck in there with the link to the Svengali project. I'd probably put the Mirage project in there for the same reason, maybe the Invisible Deck project. Those are the three that would go in there. I'd also put in like the Coin Bag project, I bought out Attack of the Bag and Return of the Bag about 15 years ago. They're coming back out as a bigger project. I'd definitely put that in there because that's going to be your starting point for cards and coins. I then put a couple of routines in there that I think are very, very easy, that will give people sort of instant gratification. They could go and do it and get great reaction straight away. That would be probably Superimpose, maybe Destiny Deal, maybe some mentalism stuff as well. So Petty Cash would be a great starting point because that's really easy. Probably Mind Blocks or Evoke. Probably Mind Blocks, because if they're new into it, they'd want a fun subject matter. So I think Mind Blocks would be the best one for there. And then maybe something that they could get their teeth into over time. Something that would be like almost a reputation making type thing. Like maybe Magic Button, Keymaster, Chop, maybe Quantum Deck, something like that. So I'd probably pick 5 or 6 of those, but my goal would be to kind of have a set that would take people at all levels and be able to give them everything that they need to be able to actually start performing and going out and doing it for real people. Okay, so the next question is from Standard. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're well, Andreas. He says, thanks for everything. You're more than welcome. This week's question is as follows. I need help improving my card handling skills, especially walk around without a table. Hence my question. And I didn't find them on the Netrix. Can you add teaching on the one-handed shuffle and the riffle shuffle in the air? I think there is teaching on the riffle shuffle in the air. If you go into basic card handling skills and you look at waterfall shuffle, I think it's in there. So go check that out. It's called a waterfall shuffle. I'm not sure if the one-handed shuffle is in there, but we could put it in, no problem. That would be great, and I promise to practice them both desperately. Thanks. I'll check with Jack if the waterfall shuffle is definitely in there. Go check in the Sleights school. Go check under basic card handling skills. That's where you're going to find that. As for the one-handed shuffle, I'm not sure I did that, but I can do. That's an easy thing to teach, and then it's just practice. But yeah, the other thing that you can do in a walk-around situation, if you don't want to do a waterfall shuffle or a one-handed shuffle, is a Pharaoh shuffle. A Pharaoh shuffle is a great fancy shuffle that you can do. I know it's obviously got applications as a shuffle to be able to achieve various different things in Magic, but it also genuinely mixes up the deck. Fun fact, David Penn only ever uses a Pharaoh shuffle in his close-up work. You'll never see him doing a waterfall shuffle. He only ever uses a Pharaoh shuffle. It's a great shuffle to use, looks really fancy, looks really professional, but also can be done completely in the hands. Okay, so the next question is from Tim Tom 0707. Hey, buddy, how you doing? When carrying Keymaster around as an everyday carry, how do you store the key with the stem hole? Do you put it upside down on your keyring and take it off before performing, or leave it in your pockets and hope to remember to transfer it when you do your laundry? I have it hanging on my keychain next to the 2 keys for Keymaster, upside down. Now, people aren't going to see this, because it's hanging behind the other keys. And when I bring the key fob out, people don't really know what I'm doing. You know, I say, yeah, let me show you some magic. I'm going to need a couple of keys for this. And what I do is I open up the key fob and I just take off the one key, the one with the hole on the stem. I just take it off and I just put it in my pocket. And I time that with the patter. I'm only going to need a couple of keys for this. So we'll just use 2 keys. So that goes in the pocket. I don't say, look, I'm putting this key in my pocket. I don't reference it at all. I'm just saying to the audience, yeah, I'm going to show you something with a couple of keys. I only need 2 keys for this. Right, okay, so this is the 2 key trick. Watch. So now I'm automatically set up in front of the audience. And then all I have to do is as I finish, when I've left the group, I just put everything back on the keychain and I'm reset, ready to go again. That's the best thing to do. You can leave it loose in your pocket. And to be honest, when I'm at a gig, that's what I do. So when I get to a gig and I'm doing Keymaster, I'm going to take that key out and I'm going to put it into my pocket. So it's separate and loose in my pocket, because that way, I don't have to go and take that off. But if I'm doing it as an everyday carry, you for sure 100%. It's hanging on the keychain. I take it off the keychain, I put it away, and I'm good to go. Okay, so the next question is from Just Josh, who says, wow, Craig, I'm stunned by your generosity. You totally didn't have to do that. You're helping me out a ton. I've gone ahead and sent you an email. Look, I've replied to the email this morning. So by the time you see this, I replied to it a whole bunch of times ago. I saw your email, man. I'm more than happy to help. Go look at my reply back. Basically, I just need your address. I've got a care package heading your way, and I've also set that email up as a lifetime membership to the Netrix. So you've got access to silver level from the Netrix for life. So check your email and be well. Okay, so the next question is from Stephen Devanrue, who says, "Hi Craig, always love the channel. Thank you, mate. Do you miss the old Matt when you do the Matt test with his wow face? I know sometimes he still shows it, but most of the time he's more advanced now." Yeah, I do. To be honest, I do. I miss Muggle Matt. I really do. Because everything just fooled him and it just made me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And now he knows a lot. He doesn't know, because he's got into magic very, very quickly and he's had like a crash course into it. There's a lot he doesn't know, like basic stuff that most people would know immediately on getting into magic. He doesn't know because I've fast tracked him. And sometimes I'll show him something and he's like, "What's that?" And it surprises me that he's never seen it before. And also because he's focusing on performing, he's learnt the techniques that he thinks he needs in able to perform. So there's a lot of big holes in his repertoire from a technical point of view, but luckily he's made up for that with his performance skill and his ability to literally just take a trick and just carry it to an audience regardless of the size of the audience, and the technique he can learn over time. But yeah, I do miss his "oh my god," I do miss that face from time to time. Okay, so the next question is from Chris Ash, who says, "With Copeland's Coins announcement of closing, do you know any similar retailers that specialize in coin magic?" Well, Ronald Davis is the guy that I go to an awful lot. I shop with Jamie Schoolcraft from time to time. Jamie's amazing, big fan of Jamie. Yeah, Ronald Davis knows his stuff. He knows his stuff and then some. So Ronald Davis is amazing, absolutely incredible. He's kind of a bit like the A-Team. If you can find him, if you know where he is, then you can hire him. But if you want an actual magic retailer, Jamie Schoolcraft does great work, does absolutely fantastic work. There is a shame that Copeland Coins is closed down. I'm doing a video on this, not just Copeland's Coins, but just magic producers in general. So look out for that. I don't know when it's going up, but it'll go up soon. But yeah, it's sad. It's sad. But yeah, Jamie Schoolcraft's great. And don't forget Mark Mason from JB Magic. He's got some incredible stuff as well. Okay, so the next question is from Caleb D'Amico, who says, "Hi Craig, hope you're doing well." I am, thank you, mate. "Do you have any tips on how to clean and shine normal pennies and penny shells?" Looks like John has got there before me. I was just going to say I've had this question several times. My answer's always the same, Brasso. And John's already replied to you. There's a great product I use called Brasso. Generic brass or copper cleaning solution works really well. Just use it sparingly. Simply wipe it with a soft cloth and wipe it off with a clean soft cloth. Hope that helps. Yes, you are right, John. Brasso is the way to go. So thank you, John, for being my guest answerer on this week's Q&A, so I don't have to. Appreciate it. Okay, so the next question is from Gillian, who says, "Thanks for all your continuous support of the magic community. You're the best, truly a magic ambassador. I know you have some haters out there, but there's so many more of us that appreciate all that you do. Thank you." You know what? I do, but I don't care, because here's the thing, and I mentioned Brad Burton before. He's a mentor of mine. And Brad has said to me in the past, when I've been frustrated, which I do get to sometimes, things can overwhelm me. I'm human, and I do let things get to me sometimes. And when things get pretty bad, which can happen occasionally, not very often, but occasionally, I kind of like go to Brad. I'm like, "Oh my God, everyone hates me," and he always says, "Look, make a list of all the reasons why people like you." And I'll be writing stuff down like, "I'm outspoken, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other," and then they're like, "Right, now write down all the reasons why people don't like you," and it's a very similar list. It's pretty much identical. And that's the point. In order to get my haters and the people that don't like me, in order to get them to like me, I'm going to have to fundamentally change who I am. And that's not going to happen. I'm not going to change who I am. I am who I am. If you like me, great. Jump on this train, because we're riding it for as long as I can. And we're going to hold on, and we're going to see where it takes us. And we're going to knock down doors. We're going to kick over tables. We're going to take names. We're going to kick ass. And I have come to the magic community to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I am all out of bubblegum. And I want everyone to jump on this train with me. But you know what? If you don't like me, that's fine as well. What I do find weird, though, is the people that don't like me, they watch all of my stuff, because they always comment about the stuff that I'm saying and I'm doing. It's weird. It really is. It's kind of strange. It's a little bit like, I'm a wrestling fan, right? It's a little bit like AEW and WWE. The two big wrestling companies in the world right now, and I like both of them for different reasons. I prefer WWE, but AEW has a lot going for it, And I find it really weird that there's this weird tribalism between the two companies, and AEW fans will literally tear down WWE fans for any reason whatsoever, and WWE fans will tear down AEW and say, oh, I don't know why you watch this crap, and they both do it to each other. And it's like, but and they'll post on social media referencing stuff that the other company has done literally that night on their TV show, and it's like, for somebody who hates this company so much, you sure as hell keep up to date on the product. It's the same with me. You know, yeah, I've got some haters out there, but you know what? They watch all of my stuff. They probably watch more stuff than the people that just kind of like me, because that's how haters, you know, they want to hate. They want to hate. They want to have that fuel to, you know, justify why Craig is a bully and a narcissist and a coward and a bad magician, and I don't know, whatever it is that people are saying about me any given day. So it's all good. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And you know what? You are right. I am the best. Can't even say that with a straight face. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, who says, hi Craig, what card sleight should I learn if I'm not working with traditional decks, but rather with memory decks, mark decks, and picture decks? Well, honestly, Pinball Wizard said all of them. Yeah, learn all the sleights. No, I would say if you're working with a picture deck like an Evoke or an ABC or you know, Cube 52 or whatever, a lot of them are in stack or have the ability to be in stack. And if that's the case, I would seriously recommend going down the route of learning some false cuts and some false shuffles. Start the basics. Start with you know, the Charlier shuffle, and then maybe go into a false overhand shuffle. Then, you know, you can take it all the way up to a false riffle shuffle, maybe the truffle shuffle, the grey shuffle, a Rosetta shuffle if you're doing table work is great. I was watching Killian O'Connor do stuff with memorized deck when he was on his tour. Every night he'd be doing this incredible mem deck routine, and the Rosetta shuffle he did before every performance, and it just convinces the entire audience that that deck is completely mixed. And then learn some false cuts. Learn some false cuts and some false mixes, in the hands false cuts, table false cuts. I think that's a really useful thing to do. And also learn some very convincing forces, I would say, as well. Because even though a lot of the time with picture decks and mark decks, obviously, and memorized decks, you don't need to force a card. By having the ability to force a card, I think it opens up a lot more options, and I think the more effective the force, the better. So maybe learn an attitude force or a classic force, maybe an under the spread cull force, something like that, as well as the more traditional timing forces and riffle forces and so on and so forth. And if you're talking about memorized deck magic, this is not so much with the picture decks or the mark decks, but with memorized deck magic, I would say one of the big and the most important sleights you can learn is the cull, because a lot of the time you're using a memorized deck as an open index. So you, like, let's say the Jack of Hearts, I know that's in the 20th position. So I can spread that, especially if I'm using a marked deck, I can spread the deck face down. I know roughly where I'm supposed to spread to, and I can control the card that they've named by just culling it to the bottom as I spread the deck face down. But you have to have a convincing cull to be able to do that. In terms of learning the sleights, I've said this before on this channel, and I'll say it again. If you're wanting to practice various sleights, you should be doing them all of the time in every performance you give. If you're going to shuffle a deck of cards, you do a walk around gig, and you're not doing anything that requires a full shuffle, but you are going to be shuffling the cards, give them a full shuffle. If you're going to be having people pick cards, do a classic force. If you're going to be spreading the cards between your hands, do a cull, because that's the best time to practice it. Because then if you get it wrong or you get caught, it makes no difference, because that you weren't even needing to use that sleight anyway. And that's the best way to practice any card sleight, by doing it when you don't need to do it. Archie Cox is the next question answerer, who says, hi Craig, first of all, congratulations on the release of Toys. I cannot wait to pick this up. It looks amazing. Thank you so much, buddy. It's been a long time coming, and I can't wait to see people's reviews for it. So your question, just interested, did you know what Ryland would have done in the final of Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent? Or did you focus on the semi-finals and you would have planned for the finals afterwards? Great question. Great question. For Britain's Got Talent, we already had an idea of what we were going to do. We were going to going to do a version of what he did on the audition for America's Got Talent. So we were going to graffiti the desk in UV. But we were going to take the UV concept to a next level because he had a whole bunch of kid magicians with him that had been there through every single round. We were going to start off by having one of the judges. We were going to show them we're going to have all of the kid magicians backstage, and there was going to be a camera on them, so they're going to be on the screen. And he was going to come out and go to the judge's desk and bring out pictures of all of his friends. And he was going to talk about how he loves sending secret messages. And his favourite thing is to send secret messages. And they were going to pick one of their friends. And the friend that they pick was going to step forward. And there'd be UV lights set up backstage. So when the UV lights go on, you can see that is the only person that's being covered from head to toe in UV paint. And that was the first thing. And then all of the kids would come out on stage, and then they were going to go into a version of what you saw on America's Got Talent, where you create a magic word, and the magic word was going to be eventually on the desk. But it wasn't just going to be on the desk, it was going to be everywhere. So it was going to be graffitied all over the venue, on the floor, on the desk, on the walls. So the entire place would have been dropped down, and the UV would have shown that word that they created literally everywhere. With America's Got Talent, because he did Lego in the semi-final and he made the Lego turn into the helicopter, we'd worked out a way of turning Terry Crews into a Lego character without him knowing that he was going to be a Lego character. So the whole idea is he was going to get Terry to help him. He was going to walk out on stage and he would lift up a cloth, and when the cloth drops, Terry would have been a full-size Lego Terry Crews character. That would have been the opening part of it, but not the main part of it. He was also going to do an illusion at the beginning, which would have been like a giant floating Rubik's Cube, which explodes in the air, and he would appear out of it. And then you'd have Terry, the Lego Terry character would walk forward towards the judge's desk and then explode into a million Lego pieces. And then Terry would be backstage, not knowing what the hell has gone on. And the cameras would just go backstage in one shot, and there would Terry be. So that was kind of the idea. Unfortunately, we never got to do it, but that happens. You know, that's what a talent competition's all about. But yeah, that's what we were planning. Okay, so the next question by Archie Cox Magic is my... no, I've still got some power. What would you say is the best version of the Chicago opener? The best version of the Chicago opener is, in my opinion, by Cody Fisher. It's put out by Penguin. Cody Fisher, his Penguin Magic. This is amazing. There, Her Card, His Card by Cody Fisher. It's in stock in Penguin. So this is really cool. It's his version. Here's what happens. A member of the audience selects a card, returns it to the deck. The magician tells the audience it'll be easy to find her card because it's marked. The deck is spread and the words "her card" appears in bold letters on the back of the card that turns out to be the selection. So rather than a miscoloured card, it says "her card." The card is placed in the magician's top pocket, and it is the same card. They see it. It's not like it's a switch. And the second card is selected by a different member of the audience. He returns it to the deck. The magician looks for his card in the deck but can't find it. Then the magician takes the card that's been sitting in the top pocket and shows that it's transformed into the second selection. Not only is it transformed on the front, but the ink on the back is transformed to read his card, and everything is examinable. Very, very, very clever gimmick that achieves that. That's my favorite version because it's not only Chicago opener, but it's great because it's changing from her card to his card, and Cody's presentation of it is brilliant. So if you want a really good version of Chicago opener, her card, his card, that is the way to go. It's a kind of a lot of people don't think about it now, but honestly, it's brilliant. I use it all the time. Okay, Armin Peter says, I'd like to ask a question of Craig too. Where do you post the questions that he's answering in this video? Down below, buddy. If you're listening to me right now, go in the comments to this video, put in a question, get it in by Monday night, and I will answer it in next week's video. Okay, so the next question is from Spooky Kid, who says, what do you think about using an invisible deck using Plastidip? Only half the cards would need to be treated. I think it's a good idea. But the problem with Plastidip is it acts differently to roughing fluid in that it holds them together more solid. So it's a slightly different technique for separating the double, right? Which is fine if you've got the cards kind of here, you've got a small packet of cards. But when you're dealing with a big deck and you're having to separate, it is possible, but it's more difficult. So you'd just be finding that you would be making life harder for yourself because the separation of the card that you need for the invisible deck would be a more tricky thing to do. And also, it doesn't really affect it. You know, you just... I would stick with roughing fluid if I were you. It's a good idea, but I'd stick with roughing fluid. I think it would be a lot easier to separate the card that you would need when you're spreading it out. Okay, so the next question is from Stephen Blair, who says, the Q&A is my favourite part of the week, always laced with hidden nuggets of info. The bit where you dissected the guy's website was gold. You should take all this info on board and pay a fortune for similar info. I really appreciate that, man. I love talking about marketing. I love talking about business. I am going to be doing some more marketing videos on this channel coming up in the coming weeks and months. And as normal, Stephen, I really appreciate your support. Thank you, buddy. Okay, so Andy W says, hi, do you have a email address for John Carey, as I have 2 emails of his, but he hasn't replied, so I don't know if they are the right ones. I wanted to ask him something about buying his book, but he doesn't have an email on his website. I have an email somewhere. I don't want to give it out on the channel just in case it's one that he doesn't use and doesn't give out. I don't think that's right. But generally, as a rule, when I've ever needed to get hold of John Carey, it's been through Facebook Messenger. He's pretty good on Facebook Messenger. But if you reach out to Alakazam, he writes for Alakazam every month. So it might just be, or contact me directly, like separately, private message me or something, because I don't want to give it out on video, but I'll give you the email address I've got. But in all likelihood, the email address I've got is probably the one you've got as well. Okay, so the next question is from Andy Putz, who says, the person who came up with the Wizard Wars idea has a golden idea. Maybe you and Matt can compete against viewers of the channel. Yeah, absolutely, maybe, right? Right, questions. Hows and whys on Plastidip. Which can to use and what you can do with it. Already in the works. I think it's probably going to be my big Christmas video. So I do a big Christmas video tutorial type special, and I'm seriously thinking about doing one on roughing fluid and Plastidip. I've been using it for years. I've got loads of ideas that I've never talked about, so I'm thinking about, having that as the Christmas Day video that goes up this year. Okay, so the next question, again from Andy Putt, is where can I find playing card designers outside of Phil Smith? I know you work almost all the time with Phil, but do you know of more people like Phil? I do work with Phil an awful lot, but the other person who's great is Aid Gower from Monster Creation. Aid Gower from Monster Creations. He does a lot of the design work for... Aid Gower, Monster Creations. He does all of the design work for Alakazam Magic. So he does all of the design work for Alakazam. And just like Phil, he's created and released magic tricks in the past. What makes Phil so good is, first of all, he's a genius. But as well as being a genius, he also understands magic and mentalism. And he's just brilliant. I can't see Monster Creations. But Aid Gower, Monster Creations, that's what you need. You can get him through Alakazam. He's very, very good, and he's the guy that I would recommend if you're wanting a cheaper alternative to Phil. Phil is not cheap. He is the best. I'll be honest with you. Phil is the best. He's the Ferrari. But that doesn't mean I'm not taking anything away from Aid here. Aid is still very good. If you saw monsters, if you saw Christmas cards, if you saw toys, my Netrix toys, all of those were put together by Aid Gower. Aid is brilliant. So Aid's the other person that I would recommend. Gary Sumpter, who runs Ace Magic Studio. I know he's created and designed decks in the past, so you might want to reach out and speak to Gary. I don't really know many other people, to be perfectly honest. It's not an area that I'm not au fait with, but it's generally, as a rule, it's because I just pick up the phone and go to Phil. That's kind of the reason. Okay, so the next question again is from Andy Putt, who says, when's your next Working with a Magic Company video coming out? I hope you do Murphy's Magic. Yeah, Murphy's is next. I'm going to be dropping Murphy's in the next week or two. I've just been on a shoot with them. I like to do it when I've just been on a shoot because then it's fresh in my mind. Just been on a shoot with them. And then after Murphy's, I think it's going to be TCC because my first TCC trick is coming soon and I want to talk all about my experience with them. So Murphy's Magic is coming soon, and then after that, I think it'll be TCC. Okay, so the next question is, again, from Andy Putt. You did videos on your TCC cases for gigging. Is during the holidays the case entirely filled with holiday tricks, or do you do what you normally do? If your case is filled differently, please do a video. I'd like to see what the holiday tricks you do outside of elf and Christmas cards and the petty Christmas closing the trilogy Extreme Extravaganza Bonanza. Yeah, I do have a lot of different stuff in there for Christmas, and I will show you. I will dissect. I'll do a video in the next week or two. It'll be an easy one to do, where I dissect what I have in my case for Christmas bookings, because it's very different to what goes out the rest of the year. So yeah, it's a great idea for a video, and I will get onto that. Okay, one final question from Andy Putt, who says, can you do a video where you compare tricks that are likewise, where you tell the pros and cons about each trick? For example, Luca Volpe and Alan Wong, Color Psychology, Adam Wilbur, Color Psychology. So yeah, the tricks are very likewise in plot, but a magician will probably not perform both of them in the same gig. I have them both and I love them both, but maybe you can do videos like that. Sort of comparing two tricks. I've done that in the past, but not recently. I think it's a very good idea. I think it's a very, very good idea, actually. And those two are a perfect example because there are pros and cons of each one. Maybe I'll start it with that video. Maybe I'll do like a battle video or something where the two tricks battle off against each other. But yeah, it's a really good idea. Leave it with me and I will start working on it. Jed Brad says, Wizard Wars, Nardis versus Petty. I would watch that. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do a Wizard Wars with the Nardis versus the Petties. I am right here on Magic TV issuing a formal challenge to Peter Nardi and Harry Nardi. Me and Ryland versus you and Harry. I get to bring a mascot. You get to bring a mascot. You get to bring Andy. I get to bring a Matt. And my Matt will kick Andy's butt, although is massively less knowledgeable about anything and everything to do with magic. But let's forget about that for a minute, okay? Just forget about that. I'm officially challenging, and also Ryland, and Harry. Forget it. I'm challenging the Nardis right now to a wizard war. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know how the format will work, but let's do it, and let's put it up live on the Alakazam socials at Christmas. Me and Ryland and Matt versus Harry and Peter and Andy. We can get people from the community to suggest stuff, and we've got half an hour in a room to come up with the best trick, and then it has to be performed in a real situation or something, and then we can let the audience decide the winner. Alakazam, I'm coming for you. Okay, so the next question is from Master Magic 2042, who says, hi Craig, I'm a young magician, and welcome to the channel, and I've been doing gigs for a bit of time now. I've done about 30, very impressive, and I was wondering how much you think I should be charging. Really, it's down to you, man. It's down to you. Look, you don't want to undercharge yourself, but you don't want to overcharge yourself. You want to fit in with what the industry's going. Here's the biggest piece of advice I can give you. Don't let the magic community tell you what you should or shouldn't be charging. I've seen this happen all of the time, especially on Facebook, where somebody will say, I'm charging this much for a gig, and you'll get 30 magicians who have probably never gone and done a fucking gig in their entire life coming down on you going, oh, well, you shouldn't be charging that. It's the old joke, isn't it? How many magicians does it take to change a light bulb? And the answer's 1,000. One to actually change it, and 999 to tell you why you're doing it wrong and how you should be doing it better and how much you should be charging to actually screw that fucking light bulb in the first place. Look, the bottom line is you charge whatever you want to charge. The big piece of advice I will give you is Charge, you have to remember that these days in a content-driven marketplace, when people are inquiring for magicians, they are comparing you with other people in your area. So if an inquiry comes your way, they will be looking at you, and they will be looking at your assets and your social proof. They will be looking at your website. They will be looking at your social media. They will be looking at the photos and the videos that you have. They'll be looking at the reviews that you have on Trustpilot and Google and Facebook and places like that. And then they will be comparing that to other people. If you do not compete because that you haven't been doing it as long and you haven't got the best photos or the best videos or the best reviews or whatever it may be, if you don't compete, then you have to compete on something, and that thing might be price, right? So don't let people tell you what you should or shouldn't be charging. What you want to do is you want to focus on getting as many assets as you can. Go out and get as many assets as you can. If you get a chance to perform for free at somewhere there where there's a videographer and they'll give you that footage, that's worth more than a fee for a gig. If you can get a professional photographer to give you photos, that's worth more than the fee for a gig. If you can get testimonials from people written on real review platforms, that is worth more than the price of a gig, because then what you're doing is you're starting to put yourself into a position where you can compete with everybody else in your marketplace. Once you're able to start competing, and once your assets and your social proof are in place, then you can start charging more. And the general rule of thumb is you get yourself into a position where you find a sweet spot. You find a place where you're charging money and you're happy with the level of gigs that are coming in. When you start turning away gigs left, right and centre every day, you're turning gigs away, then you put your prices up. Will you lose some clients? Yes. But the clients that you get are paying more, so it offsets. And then what will happen is over time, you'll get back into the same position. And that's when you put your prices up again. And that's when you put your prices up again. And that's when your prices get put up again. But remember, you do magic because you love it, right? So, you don't want to be going out and saying, well, I've only done 30 gigs ever. I've got no assets, but I'm charging £5,000 a gig. I'm only going to do 1 gig a year, but hell, it's worth it. That's not the way to go. You want to go out there as a young magician, get as much experience as you can. Let everyone see how good you are. Have so much experience and be so good that they can't ignore you. And when you get to that level, then you can start charging more and more and more. So charge whatever you want to. Do a competitor analysis. Look at all the competition around you. Find out how much they charge. Look at their websites. Honestly, look at their websites and their social proof, and then ask yourself, are they better than you? Do they look like they're better than you? Put yourself in the mind of the booker. Get yourself a customer avatar. What I mean by a customer avatar is try to think what the ideal client is for you. Who are they? What do they look like? What's their demographic? Where do they shop? How many kids have they got? What type of, everything. And then think about that. Get yourself in the mindset of that customer avatar and imagine what they would do if they were looking at your website versus somebody else's. And then, don't give up, because it takes time. Rome was not built in a day. It will take time. It will take effort. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But never give in, and never, ever, ever, ever let the magic community bully you and tell you what you should or shouldn't be charging. That is a business decision that you make and you alone make. If you want to take advice from other people, that's fine. But don't let 50 mindless idiots on a Facebook group tell you what you should be charging, because it's none of their business. It's literally none of their business. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician, who says, do you know, by the way, Divishan, let me know down below, was the advice on the website I gave you last week useful? Did that help? Do you know the name of the mentalism trick where it ends with a Google search of how many days till? Nope. I saw a clip of someone doing this on Instagram, and I asked him in person what it was called, and he didn't tell me because he said, be original and don't copy others. But I was only asking because this trick looked interesting. Do you have an idea of what it may be? I have no idea. I have no idea, man. I've never heard of that trick before in my life. I don't know what you're talking about. Of how many days till? Help. If anybody's watching this and knows what this trick is, can you let Divishan know down below? Because that doesn't even make sense as a sentence. The mentalism trick where it ends with a Google search of how many days till. I don't know. I'm sorry, buddy. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag once again. So thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. Now, don't forget, it's simple. You want to see more videos like this? All you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I am going to be back again. I'm trying to pause this video. I'm zoomed in. There we go. Boom. Job done. I'm going to be back again tonight with a review show special, so make sure you look out for that review show special. Also, check out the Talk Magic that I did yesterday. It's epic. And finally, if you haven't already done so and you want to support this channel, go ahead and try out the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform for magicians, and you can access it immediately. Thanks once again for watching. I will see you again soon. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.